Monkey is Michael Vaughan. He went missing right after Summer did. And Mandy can tell you a little bit more, or a lot more than I can. Mandy, if you want to explain to
absolutely
who asked him, Teresa. Yeah, explain to Teresa about Michael a little bit.
So his name is Michael Joseph Vaughan. He was also 5 years old when he was abducted. He was abducted from his neighborhood, just a few hundred feet away from his home in Fruitland, Idaho. His mom, Brandy Neal Vaughan, was at work about 15 minutes away, and his daddy was at home, Tyler, taking care of him and his older brother and his younger sister. Tyler went in the bedroom to change the baby's diaper and to order a pizza. And when he came back out in the living room, Monkey was gone. They narrowed the time frame down to between 6:40 p.m. and 7 p.m. when Monkey was abducted. Tyler immediately called Brandy, said, I can't find Monkey anywhere, and they hung up. Brandy came home. Tyler called the police while Brandy was clocking out, basically, as soon as they hung up. Law enforcement was already in the neighborhood when Brandy arrived home, and they searched all night. And here we are, almost 4 years later, and they are still searching for Monkey. That was July 27th. And in November 21st, to be exact, 2021, there was a search warrant served at the Wondra's house. The Wondra's house included Stacey Wondra, his wife, Sarah Wondra, their two roommates, Brandon Shurtleff and Adrian Lucian. Those are the four suspects. They served the warrant. Sarah said Stacey killed Monkey and buried him in the backyard. Then she said that he was buried in the neighbor's backyard. She said the Most High God told her so. Anyway, she was arrested for not reporting a death or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact charge, but she was arrested. The next day, they came back to the house on November 22nd, and they excavated the entire backyard. They dug up the entire backyard. Now, why they did that is because Stacey was already in jail. Stacey had been incarcerated, and they went to talk to him about Monkey, and he tried to cut a deal with them. They offered him a deal, and he tried to take the deal. The deal was, tell us where Monkey is, and you'll get, I think he said 15 serve 7. So he told him Monkey was buried in their backyard. So when they excavated the yard, November 22nd, Monkey was not buried in the backyard, but they did find anomalies, which means that the ground had been unnerved. Every single dog that law enforcement brought in that backyard on that property alerted to human remains. So they knew that Monkey had been buried in that backyard, but he had been moved. So Sarah's charges were eventually dropped because they couldn't find Monkey, so they couldn't prove that she was concealing anything. So they dropped it without prejudice, which means they can redo the charges in the future. But she was kept incarcerated for other charges. So she's still in prison right now. Stacey was released in January, I believe January of 2024, and he did at least 9 interviews on YouTube, and he never told the same story twice. Then he was incarcerated again shortly after that. And did you know from jail where he is today, he is suing YouTubers and YouTube?
Yeah, I knew he was trying to.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Adrian, we don't think Adrian had anything to do with Monkey's abduction. We think that he had knowledge, but he wasn't a part of the abduction. We believe that Stacey, Sarah, and Brandon are the ones who have full knowledge, full power over what happened that day. And I say we, the majority, and myself, believe Monkey was abducted by Stacey, Sarah, and Brandon when they were leaving the neighborhood to go to Brandon's mom's in Kuna on July 27th. They left the neighborhood between 6:30 and 7 p.m., which is the same time frame that Monkey vanished. We believe that they abducted him and put him in the SUV and drove to Kuna, which is almost an hour away, which is where Brandon's mom lives. And his mom was out of town for a week on vacation. Brandon was not supposed to be at his mom's house, so they snuck in. Stacey said that Brandon bound and gagged Monkey and hid him in the guest room in Tina's house, which is Brandon's mom's name.
It's like right under that mound area.
It's right under the mound, about where at compared to the trees?
A little like right to the right of the trees area. It should be a garbage bag.
Okay, what color is the garbage bag?
It would either be white or black. We only have 2 colors.
Is the duct tape still going to be over his mouth?
It should be.
Okay.
I didn't watch take them off.
Okay.
So you should have everything intact as it was.
Is the duct tape still going to be over his mouth?
It should be.
Okay.
I didn't watch take them off.
Okay.
So you should have everything intact as it was.
You shared with us that Brandon put him in the guest room, bound up, but then the next day they moved him back here.
The next day, allegedly, Sarah and Brandon went back to Kuna to get Monkey, brought him back to Fruitland, and that's when he was buried in their backyard on July 28th. Brandon ended up living with the Wondras for several months after that, and then he ended up going to Montana. He met a girl named Misty in November. They started dating. She allegedly got pregnant with twins and just had a miscarriage 2 weeks ago. Misty just did an interview recently with Samantha on PNW. That's the interview that Tammy and I reviewed on my channel the other night, two nights in a row. The first night, Samantha came up on panel with us, and so we kind of stopped the review and let Sam come up and share what she wanted to share. And then part 2 was where we actually finished out the review. And Misty, I'm not going to say what I think about that person on Tammy's channel because I respect Tammy's channel. And on my own channel, I threw some F-bombs at her.
I was go look at Mandy's channel and you can see everything that Mandy feels about Misty. And I could,
those F-bombs were well deserved.
yes, they were. I agree.
I just said it. Y'all thought it. Okay.
She just spoke it out loud.
That's right. I threw it at her and I threw it hard too. Girls.
It was true though. Everything she said. I mean, some of the things she said was like, I really can't believe you said that about a person who's got a missing child.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So Brandon got arrested on Friday for basically careless driving, and they were keeping him until Monday. It said his release date was supposed to be Monday. I have not looked at the website to see if he was released. I have not looked at Sam's channel to see if she has posted anything. So I don't know. But the FBI went to Misty's house, which is the reason why she did the interview. Not the FBI. Law enforcement went to Misty's house, and that's why she did the interview with Samantha, because the prosecutor from Fruitland, Idaho, a law enforcement officer from Fruitland, Idaho, along with a local law enforcement officer from Livingston, Montana, came to Misty's door to tell Misty they were going to offer Brandon a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he needed to take the deal. Allegedly, he said he wasn't taking the deal. And then a few days later, he gets arrested for careless driving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the final update. Sarah and Stacey are both in prison for unrelated charges, and they're not going to be out. Stacey will be out sometime at the end of this year, and I think Sarah's supposed to be out sometime next year. Adrian is still out and free, and I'm not sure about Brandon. So those are the 4 suspects. And then the major rush on this now, not only are we almost at the 4-year anniversary, but Monkey's mom, Brandy, is deathly ill right now. She is literally on her deathbed. She needs a liver transplant. And she has been so sick and so just sick.
Yeah.
They want to know where Monkey is. Law enforcement allegedly told Brandon's old boss that they want to bring Monkey home so that they can bury the 2 of them together. That's how sick Brandy is.
Yeah.
So I think that's the quickest way to sum up Monkey's case.
Yep, it is. In 4 years, I mean,